our next speaker is Steve Chilton, and he will be talking about aquatic nuisance species, which is pretty much the same thing as aquatic invasive species, and giving a little bit of info on what's happening nationwide and how that's connected to our efforts here in Lake Tahoe.
Hey, so my name is Steve Chilton. I'm the AIS coordinator for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for Lake Tahoe in northern Nevada. I've been just to let you know a little bit of my background, I've been a resident of Lake Tahoe since 1975. My wife and I moved up here to work in the ski industry. And things worked out a little better for us. So we're still here, and we're going to be here for quite a while. So I'd like to talk about it from a national perspective, because sometimes when we're at Lake Tahoe, we get kind of in this bubble of Lake Tahoe. We don't think about what's going on elsewhere and how that really relates to what we do here. Because from a funding perspective, we have to look at it on a national level of where our money's coming from and who we have to show that we're getting returns on their dollars. So, I guess Steve Chilton, basically, AIS management plans. AIS, aquatic nuisance species, is kind of a national term. Aquatic invasive species is more of a term that we have used here at Lake Tahoe. So we have AIS management plans all over the United States. Lake Tahoe being one that's an interstate management plan that is one of very few that actually crosses state lines and combines two states. We also have the state of Nevada, which is working on their invasive species management plan at this point, and hopefully in a short period of time we'll have a plan from them also. So our plan has been adopted by the Aquatic Nuisance Species Task Force, which is out of Washington, D.C., which is chaired by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So they basically, NOAA does the marine industry. So all the invasive species that are out in the oceans, then there's lots of them out there. They're attacking coral and a number of other things. They deal with that. Fish and Wildlife Service deals with them basically within the territorial U.S. property. The Aquatic Nuisance Species Task Force is also made up of regional panels. So we have a number of regional panels all over the west, southeast, northeast. I think there's a total of 12 or so regional panels. And we meet twice a year and go through what we're doing and try to basically transfer our information to others. So we all learn from each other. And this task force reviews and approves the AIS plans. And again, we're adopted, our AIS plan is adopted by the task force. What that also does is that releases a small amount of funding, roughly about $40,000 per plan per year. Our budget is pretty large up here compared to others, and that's another thing from a national perspective we have to understand is that the budget we have at Lake Tahoe actually dwarfs some state budgets. The state of Montana, for example, which has a lot of lakes, we have more money than they do. Because Lake Tahoe will spend than they have. One of the things that really cranked up the Lake Tahoe program was the threat of aquatic mussels. When they were discovered in Lake Mead in 2007, that really got us moving on things. And the challenge of mussels, I mean, it's Great Lakes, it's Oklahoma. This is a buoy. The one on the top left there is a buoy that was in a lake in Oklahoma, encrusted with zebra mussels. Basically, millions have been spent on control, and the impact to not only controlling, but also the impact to infrastructure is in the millions and hundreds of millions of dollars yearly across the United States. We've also got significant research going on right now in the Colorado River system using a chemical, or it's actually a bacteria called Zequinox, which looks promising. We're testing it right now in Davis Dam, which is Lake Mojave, where there are clogger mussels, and it's a good place to test because you've got a lot of live specimens you want to basically kill. And that's what we do with a lot of it. We try to, you don't just move these critters around, you actually want to get rid of them. This is actually, this one on the bottom left is a car that was dragged out of the Great Lakes that is encrusted with zebra mussels. So they attach to everything. Other invasive species in the United States that we're dealing with, northern pike. Northern pike in Lake Davis, for example, in California is a huge issue. They've pretty much got that under control now after 2 sequences of pesticide in that area. And then down below you see Asian carp. You've probably seen this on 60 Minutes quite a few times. Asian carp is really devastating to the Great Lakes. They've got a number of control mechanisms up there. Snakehead, which is another nasty fish that is in Arkansas, areas around the southeast, that eats everything, actually crawls, so it can go from pond to pond. Round goby is also another invasive fish that is in the Great Lakes, and again, it's a voracious appetite. It basically eats the natives out of Alabama. Didimo. That is actually a fly fishing reel, and that's didimo stuck onto a fly there. And it's also called rock snot because it looks like that. And it basically is something that gets transferred by fishermen primarily. So waders, felt boots, that sort of thing. Which, if you have felt boots that you fly fish with, please put them on the shelf and buy new ones that aren't felt. I just did that a couple of weeks ago, finally, and hopefully I won't slip all over the place. Let's see. Water chestnut. This is basically a stream, pond area that is totally filled with water chestnuts upstate New York. At the beginning of the season, it didn't look like that. Now you can't even bring a boat through there. So this is sort of what we're dealing with milfoil. Out of Tahoe Keys. Lake Mead. Boy, you know, what can I say about Lake Mead? It has become a nasty place for anything that's not aquatic. The fishery down there, they have used to have a trophy striped bass fishery. They basically, over the last 3 or 4 years, have lost so much weight that they're losing the trophy fishery. So they're no longer having folks coming from all over the place to catch trophy stripers down there because they're smaller than this. And this is a tennis shoe that was brought out of Lake Mead. There's all kinds of little things like you can see over there in the back there, encrusted with bottom muscles. It's become kind of like hard work. Western states take action. So it's not just us. It's like this is Big Bear Lake, Southern California. They're doing inspections. Flathead Lake in Montana, they're doing inspections. If you take your boat and you go traveling up through Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, every lake you go to, you're going to run into somebody eventually who wants to inspect your boat. Who's going to want to pay for that inspection. Yeah, questions?
We're going to wait for questions till the
Good.
end.
Good. Thank you.